Welcome back to Killer Fun, where we explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week. I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And today we are talking about the Prime Video limited series Swarm, Episode 1, Stung. If this is being somebody's biggest fan, I think I'll pass.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
There's a lot going on here. And I was thinking about this as I watched it, and I'm not done with this series, but I'm close.
Okay.
However, I thought, how in the world are we going to only talk about episode 1?
Well,
because there's like a lot going on. Like I'm sitting there and it's like watching a bad acid trip.
I mean,
but loving it.
Yeah, yes. It's so weird to like this show so much because it's violent, it's graphic, it's disturbing. There are unrecognized penis proliferations. Like, you just don't know it's coming. Do not watch this with the kids in the room because you never know what's going to show up on the screen.
Oh, yeah. Smashed against a glass bowl. Because you're laughing because you've been there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch this.
Go watch episode 1.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like really, it's weird.
And it's one of those, like, I can see why they put a comedy label on it.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not, there's no hardly any laugh out loud.
No. It's a dark comedy.
It's so dark. You maybe get like one laugh out loud per episode.
Yeah, maybe so.
Maybe, maybe a bowl of strawberries is involved in the first episode. Where you're so shocked, all you can do is laugh.
Yes, that's the truth. You're shocked, and so you just laugh.
Right.
But man,
it is wow.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the description, they do a good job of trying to make it seem like something it's not.
Okay.
Like I know. Okay, so if you Google it, it says psychological thriller. Okay. Then you read this little description. An obsessed Houston-based fan goes to increasingly violent lengths for her favorite R&B singer. This does not do it justice.
No, because that's not really what it's about.
It's bananas.
I mean, it's bananas. We're going to get into it because there's so much to talk about. So first, let's talk about this amazing cast.
Yes.
It's so good. The acting, I think, is really, really excellent, especially Dominique Fishback is Dre. And so, you watch her in this and she's utterly believable as a psychopath.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with her.
Yeah.
And she's like so normal and fun and nice. And
she pulls off awkward like nobody has ever pulled off awkward.
And on this interview, she was so like smooth and warm and gracious, and I'm like, oh, she's a really good actor.
Yeah, she is. The whole there are whole scenes of awkwardness that make you just want to I'm like, I want to speak for you. Like somebody say something. What? I'm trying to fix it.
Yeah, but you can't fix it.
I can't fix it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's fictional.
But I feel like I have to fix it. And I have to say, I know that there's been some other good awkward scenes, but none have ever had me feel that need to want to inject myself into it. Right?
Wow.
Other awkward scenes, I'm watching it, I'm seeing the awkward, and I'm like,
yeah, like The Office.
Yeah. And you're kind of laughing around with it, waiting for the next thing. And this made me just feel all the feels about it.
I want to fix it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's done some TV. She notably The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray on Apple TV Plus, but the show creators felt like she was a get because she's been done some movie stuff and they see her as like a movie star. So she was in The Hate U Give, Project Power, and Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh, okay.
So she's had some pretty big roles. So they had talked to her about a different part and she was like, no, I want the main part. And they were like, really?
Awesome.
Really?
Really? Really?
Yeah. And then Chloe Bailey is Dre's foster sister and best friend, Marissa Jackson. She's best known as a Grammy-nominated R&B artist, both as a solo career and a duet with her sister, Hallie. And her sister, Hallie, is the Little Mermaid in the upcoming live-action Little Mermaid that's coming out in May of 2023. So they're in a group together, Chloe and Hallie.
Okay.
But she also had a starring role on the sitcom Grownish.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never watched that.
No, I didn't either.
But maybe I'll have to revisit it.
Every time I get to the end of an Abbott Elementary, it tries to play Blackish.
Oh, that's funny.
Which is, Grownish is an offshoot of Blackish.
Okay, I watched Blackish.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched it. Is it good?
Yeah,
I
it was
should
good.
watch it. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Damson Idris is Khalid. He's Marissa's boyfriend, and he starred in a long-running FX series called Snowfall. And he's been in a couple of fairly big-ish movies, one called Farming and one called Outside the Wire. Lots of one-off TV appearances. Then Rory Culkin. I only know that his name is Marcus because it was listed on the IMDb.
Okay.
Because I don't remember hearing his name said ever. But he's Dre's one night stand.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I love the kind of risks that the Culkin kids are. The kids, they're all adults now.
I know,
but
right?
I love the kind of risks that they all take, especially, Rory's been an actor since he was 4.
Yeah.
And they've successfully, all 3 of these young men or men, I guess Rory's still young man.
I guess,
but
yeah.
Macaulay Culkin's, I think, older than you are. So
maybe not.
Or close to your age.
Close to my age, maybe.
So he's not, I wouldn't put him in the young man category anymore.
No.
he's a man
He's
category.
trailing behind my middle age. He's just a few car lengths behind on the train.
Sure. Yeah. And his part in this is small but revealing.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Nerine Brown is the queen herself, Ni'Jah. She had a recurring role on BET's Ruthless. And, of course, in that show, she was more than, seen from a distance or in silhouette.
Yeah, right. We don't really see
clips of, and very purposely, we don't see a whole lot of Ni'Jah.
Right.
Yeah.
It keeps the mystery.
Yeah. The mystery keeps the illusion. We know there's no mystery, I don't think. Nanine Neighbors is a writer and producer, and she's done the same for a number of shows. So she's part creator, but mostly writer, producer for this. And she's done that with The Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce, Roar, Atlanta, Watchmen.
Nice.
I loved on HBO. So good. Donald Glover, Childish Gambino himself, is the writer, producer, creator. He pitched this to Nanine to ask her if she was interested because they had worked together on the show that he created, Atlanta, that he also starred in.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is so him.
Yes.
This show is so him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And we loved him in Community. He was so great. He was Lando Calrissian in Solo. He wrote 23 episodes of 30 Rock.
Wow.
Which I did not know.
That's a lot of episodes.
He's such a talented person. I mean, his rap is legitimately good and a lot of good commentary, interesting commentary on it. He's a very fun actor, has a lot of range, as we've seen.
Yes.
From Atlanta to Community are very different characters. Yeah. So, and that he's such a great writer. Yeah, is just great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, you have to mention one other person. It's later in the series.
Oh, okay.
But I have to mention that Billie Eilish.
Yeah, this is her acting debut.
It's amazing. Billie Eilish was so good.
Yes.
She was so good.
And this is her first, this is
far
her
as I
acting
know,
debut.
right?
No, this is.
This is
it. This is the first time she's acted in anything.
Okay, I'm watching her on the screen and I'm going, she's familiar. What was she in before? Wait, what was she in? Was she? No. And I'm like watching it and I hit pause. And on Prime, then all of a sudden the cast comes up and I was like, oh! That's who she is.
That's why she looks so familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is one nice thing about Prime, I do have to say.
I do like that.
When you pause it, it comes up with who all the actors are.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
It is nice. All right, so recap.
All right, recap.
Dre is a huge fan of musical artist Ni'Jah. She spends money she doesn't have on concert tickets because it reminds her of times with her foster sister and best friend Marissa when life was less complicated. Dre is unusual in ways that make most people uncomfortable, which renders her barely employable. She relies really heavily on Marissa as well as internet friends in The Swarm, Ni'Jah's legion of fans and followers. Personal turmoil and heart-wrenching tragedy befall the sisters, and Dre loses her tenuous grip on reality as she sinks into grief.
Nice. Yeah. Nicely done.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
I was like, oh, that gives you all the context you really need without giving too much away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like it.
So I don't know what to make of the rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So it has about what I expected from critics, 86%.
Okay.
That's about what I expected.
Yeah.
Pretty, but 73% from the audience.
A lot of people, we talked about this before.
I just think people don't get it. They don't understand dark comedy.
Nope.
They don't get it. And they don't like an ending that's ambiguous in any way.
Yep.
And you haven't gotten there yet, so I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
But there's sort of an ambiguous ending. And they have said there is no more seasons of this.
Yeah, like this is limited series thing.
When you get to the end of season 7 or episode 7, that is it.
Yeah.
I have some questions, and you and I will talk about it.
Okay.
On our own later, I think. Because
I think
I'm like,
people really don't understand dark comedy. They especially don't understand it when it's dark and super violent.
Right. Which this is. Very, very violent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's mostly not funny.
And also it's just a little weird.
Right.
I say weird. That's not even doesn't help anybody understand it better. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's a term out there I'm looking for that is far more descriptive than weird. Yeah. But weird.
Yeah. Well, because it's not, I guess every serial killer's got to have an MO.
I guess.
And she just finds it in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was like, how can this many people like it and also not like it? Like it feels like it should be like 50% like it, because a lot of people don't get it, or people should really, really like it. I don't understand a C- here.
I don't know. I'm going to go with cult favorite.
Okay.
I feel like this has the beginnings of a cult favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I could rewatch this, with like friends.
Uh-huh.
I could see there being certain things that are very iconic.
Yes.
About it.
Once it's been sat through all the way on your own, it's definitely one of those that would be like fun to sit and watch and pause and, oh, I noticed this thing here, and did you notice that, and did you see that thing that happened later, and blah blah blah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of those kind of things. I mean, they shot it on film. How
I
very
know.
interesting, It was just there's interesting things about it. I'm sure there's a bunch I missed.
Yeah.
While I sat in shock.
It wasn't filmed in Houston.
Okay.
Not any of it, but not imagine. The first episodes. The first episode takes place entirely in Houston.
Right.
And they did a good job of looking like Houston.
Yeah.
But it was actually filmed in Atlanta.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Yeah, they did. They filmed the whole thing in Atlanta too. So after the first episode, Dre is traveling around to a lot of different places.
Right.
So they were able to really great lookalikes there in Atlanta for a lot of different places in the country, which is great.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Is It True? Psychology Break and Real Life after this.
So here's how it works. Christy wrecks her search history. Hey, an essay. We promise it's nothing more nefarious than a podcast. To find out what's true, some of the psychological motivations behind the characters' actions, and real-life applications that relate to our topic. I have no idea what Christy decided to look up. Could be the same thing that captured my curiosity or something I never thought of.
Is it true? So wait, what did that title card say?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm like dying to talk about this. This title card is driving me bananas, and I did everything. I sat on my hands to make sure that I did not Google this, so that I could hear what you found.
Okay, so Fox has a whole article, What Fake Pop Stars Say About Our Real World. And the first thing that they talk about is this title card, which I'm going to read you what it says. This is not a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is intentional.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great.
And you're like, wait, what?
I read it, and I read it. It does say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like every time a new episode started, I'm like, oh, it does say intentional.
It does. It says intentional.
That's wrong. But what?
But what?
Okay. Yeah. So obviously this mirrors Beyonce.
Well, obviously.
Ni'Jah is so obviously Beyonce. With all of the outfits, the scandals, the videos, the songs, all of these things are so incredibly Beyonce.
Yep. And her husband, Cache, is absolutely Jay-Z.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yes.
This is
Ni'Jah has a sister. Who's also a musical artist. There's a whole thing. There's it gets talked about throughout. And Beyonce has the Beehive. Yeah. She has a huge following of people who are very, very passionate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very passionate.
About their fandom of her. And this is what the Swarm is in Swarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mirrors it.
Right.
But the title card makes you think, is there some crazy Bey fan out there like freaking murdering people? Is this a thing? Does this happen?
Right. No.
Thank God.
No, not that we really know of, but all of the events. So I read a review that said basically that they thought that they were just trying to avoid the whole pandemic thing by setting it starting in 2016, because this 7 episodes run from 2016 to 2018.
Right.
That's not at all the case.
Okay.
So what they did was they looked for like unsolved murders and real things that happened around Beyonce that could have been attributed to the Beehive, or performances that she did that happened between 2016 and 2018.
Ooh.
And so they did this poll. So it's really hard to tease out what exactly it is, because they fictionalize things enough.
Right. That you can't
always quite tell. And it'd be really difficult to exactly tell what it was they used as their inspiration. And chances are some of these true crime things that they pulled in probably had nothing to do with Beyonce.
It was just in the physical orbit somewhere.
Right. It made sense within the story to be able to attribute it this way. Yeah. Woo-hoo-hoo. So this article has a lot of interesting things to say about what fake pop stars can tell us, and how fake pop stars that we've seen in the past. So for The Bodyguard and A Star is Born and Get Him to the Greek, they fictionalize the pop stars themselves and make them, they're kind of the butt of the joke, right?
A little.
Kind of. It's about them and how they feel in those situations and stuff like that. And where Swarm is different is it's talking about how the fans looking at their idol behave.
Right.
So Swarm finds new horror not by taking us behind the scenes with a pop star, but by staying far away and looking at how we put them on a pedestal. It's so easy to feel connected to celebrities, especially pop stars who offer messages of hope in a time of despair, or details about their personal lives in a moment of loneliness. Swarm, like the best horror, forces us to confront something about ourselves, and does so by examining the downfall of an unhealthy parasocial attachment.
Yep.
Swarm doesn't posit Ni'Jah as the cause of Dre's madness, but an outlet for it.
Right.
Which I thought was really astute and a good way to look at it. And that this really talks about the show, talks about the futility of feeling like we know them so well.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know them well for the most part. It depends
Right.
on, especially a lot of pop stars don't write their own songs. Some do.
Yeah, more do now than they used to.
Right.
That used to be two different roles because,
Right.
But now we're finding that actually people really can be the whole package.
Right.
Right. But there was a lot of people out there who are very talented in the performance, but not so much in the songwriting.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was like that was the norm because became the assumption.
Right.
Not because it was the truth. Right.
Right.
But yeah, there is pop stars. There is a mystique.
Uh-huh. Right.
But now with democratization of all the music and all of that, you have these who are big stars now coming and they talk to you through YouTube and through their, Patreon and like there's an authenticity you feel
Right.
with these artists and you kind of don't know because branding is like everybody's game now.
Right.
Which is weird. I never learned how to brand.
Yeah.
I'm not good at branding for me.
Yeah.
Kids these days, they know how to curate their online presence in order to be able to, monetize it.
Yeah.
Which is what pop stars are able to do like super well.
Right.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. It's an interesting sort of
It is.
situation. Is Dre fictional? So the person, Andrea Green, is entirely fictional.
Right.
Despite what an episode later in the series might suggest otherwise. So yes, as I mentioned before, Donald Glover and Nanine Neighbors both really did a lot of research to try and find things that fit within the timeline to make it feel more authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and this is where the cult favorite stuff comes in.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine like a cosplay where you dress up as the characters you think they're actually portraying in real life and then act it out, right?
Gosh.
Like it would be really fun.
Yeah.
So you guys, Donald, Nanine, so you need to put this in theaters like Rocky Horror Picture Show style.
Oh, yeah.
Cosplay, and then people show up as the characters that they think you're really portraying.
Wow.
And the people get on stage and they act along with it.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
It would be so fun.
You'd have Ni'Jahs and and Dre's and
all kinds
Marissa's and
Yeah.
Khalid's and all of the whatever Billie Eilish's character's name was.
Yeah,
I
whatever
don't
cult,
remember.
and you could like kind of dress yourself up as I see possibilities.
Yeah, I do too. It would be very fun. I think it would also be really interesting to see it cut down to like a 2-hour movie for that kind of thing too. Because that was another thing I saw. This could have been a 2-hour movie and been really good. I'm like, it could have been, but it was super fun as
it could have been a 2-hour movie and
5.5
also
hours
be
long.
as awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, but what about Marissa Jackson? Because there were rumors. So,
What?
yes. The idea of Marissa Jackson came out because Nanine lived in Houston and she had a friend with the last name Jackson.
Okay.
So when Lemonade came out in 2016, April of 2016, which is when Swarm starts,
Right.
Lemonade is dropped surprise. And it's feels very confessional. Right? It's basically talking about this whole situation between Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Okay.
That she found out that he was cheating on her, and then they go on to reconcile. So
Right.
because of the way it was dropped and the way all this stuff was filmed and rumors that had been floating around, it seemed like that was an accurate, at least somewhat accurate representation of something that had happened. So there was a rumor in Houston that a woman named Marissa Jackson watched Lemonade and was so moved by it that she killed herself because her boyfriend had cheated on her. And she thought, what chance would she have to ever find somebody who wouldn't cheat on her if Jay-Z was cheating on someone as beautiful and talented as Beyonce? If somebody can cheat on Beyonce, what chance does anybody else have of not being cheated on? So she committed suicide. This is the story that went around.
Talk about an urban legend.
Right. But people for a while thought it was true.
Okay.
So for a fair bit. But they finally traced it back to a satire website called the Empire Herald, and the piece has been deleted.
Okay.
But it was never true, and Marissa Jackson was never a real person, but people did believe it.
But that's where the inspiration for this character
that's where
comes.
And I mean, Marissa Jackson was the name that was used in this hoax article, and that's literally the name of the character. Literally the name of the character.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first episode.
Right.
That's the first episode.
Exactly. That is the first episode. This is the tragedy that's befalling Dre and Marissa and, all of this. I mean, it's so it wasn't real, but it's a real hoax. It's a real thing, rumor that was going around the internet.
Oh, my brain.
I know.
Oh, my brain.
So it's true, but it's not true. Because it was never true.
It was never true.
But it was true that some people believed it, and it was true that there was this rumor going around. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, my brain is like on fire. And yet I can see why the hoax, I can see why like a satirical site would want to kind of make an article like that.
Yeah.
Because
but it's also like super dark.
It is dark because I remember I never saw an article about that. I never saw that. But what I do remember is the comment, if Bay, then how to anybody.
Yeah. How does anybody not get cheated on?
Right. Because hello.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Right.
And so that was kind of the comment. Like, oh, well.
Right.
Like, okay, manage expectations, apparently. I mean, really, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So... Ni'Jah was really heavily based on Beyonce, as we've already mentioned. Was she involved? No, she was not.
No.
She was not. But...
Did they tell her?
Yes.
Okay.
So Beyonce and Donald Glover are friends. And he had talked to her about it.
Good. I feel like she has a right to know.
Yeah. Variety asked Janine, had Beyonce seen it? And she said, of course. But she has no comment on it.
Well played.
That seems smart.
That seems smart.
Like, I know about this. I realize I'm the inspiration for this.
Yeah.
I understand that people have maybe done things that were inappropriate in my name, and I'm not going to comment on it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stop it from coming out either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Right.
So why would...
Yeah. So I mentioned before that there were some... commonalities between the events in Swarm and the coming out of Lemonade. So let's talk about just a few of those.
Okay, yay.
Real quick. So all of the flashes at the very beginning of there were still images and little snips of videos and articles and things that came up pretty early on. Those were all definitely things that were connected. They were directly inspired by Beyonce. So like there was an outfit from Beyonce's Homecoming documentary. The group that Ni'Jah had been in to begin with was Glamour's Child instead of Destiny's Child. Right. You know, her husband is Cache.
Yeah.
Which is obviously Jay-Z. They have a recreation of Beyonce and Jay-Z from suits that are from music video.
Okay.
There was an elevator fight. You don't see this till episode 3.
But you see this footage of an elevator fight.
Which is extremely similar to what we had seen happen in real life, like in 2014.
Yeah.
But it was still being talked about at that time. You don't see this till later, but there was a whole thing about Beyonce getting bit.
Yes. Okay.
Which I did not know about.
I don't know about that. But when this happened, I'm like... Did that happen? Did that happen? Did that happen?
Oh, yeah, it happened.
Somebody bit her?
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about it because it's in episode 4, but you can read this. And Yeah. And then, of course, Billie Eilish plays Ava is the character name. I have it here in my notes. Nanine said that was directly pulled from Nexium.
Okay, I was wondering. It's that girls group.
Female empowerment, yes. And they all have the same tattoo. It's all Nexium.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was wondering if that was going to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's all this, but I'm going to put this one aside so that you can read about the biting thing, because all of the sources that we use to inform our discussion here on Killer Fun Podcast can be found on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Killer Fun Podcast, exploring the intersection of crime and entertainment. You can find us on Twitter at Killer Fun Pod, or you can send us an email at killerfunpodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to share a link to whatever information you're looking for. We love to hear from you. You might learn a little something too. Psychology break. So,
okay, hit me. What do you, I can't, there's so much to choose from. I can't imagine what you ended up.
And I'm not even diving into the whole psychosis sort of side of it. I'm coming up with cult fandoms.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about this.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, Hollywood Insider, the psychology behind cult fandoms. They've done some research, and so a cult fandom could be an artist, like what we see here. It could be like a devoted sports fan.
You're right.
There's a lot of different kinds of fandoms that might be a little bit obsessive for people. And so when they do research, they have a scale called the celebrity adulation scale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has 3 levels. So the level 1 is the entertainment social subscale.
Okay.
So that's like, I'm a big fan. I really like what they provide as entertainment.
Right, okay.
Then there's the intense personal subscale is the second level. And then the third is the borderline pathological subscale. So I think Dre falls at the very far end of section 3.
Yes.
The vast majority fans are in section 1 or the low end of section 2. Where they feel like they know them really well, but they don't. Right. Humans have 3 core needs. That we need validation, we need pleasure, we need excitement. These are obviously not all we need, but they are human needs that are sort of fulfilled by this fandom. And that this cult fan behavior fits one or more of these needs. Like it fills them in some way that maybe the person doesn't have in their life.
Right.
Maybe they do, but maybe they don't.
Yeah, because I mean, there's something that's it feels like a community. It provides a foundation for friendship. It found a place to connect with others. And then something to root for.
Well, and that's just exactly it, is they're talking about that you've got a commonality with somebody where you might not otherwise have a commonality with them. When you have these fanships, they can lead to community, and those are the benefits of it. Some dangers of it is that if people who rank high on that celebrity adulation scale are more prone to things like depression and anxiety, poor body image, social dysfunction, interpersonal boundaries. They may do stalking behavior, all things we see in Dre.
Right.
We don't see her do this, but we see other people do this, and Dre uses the information, which is doxing. So cult fandoms, if somebody says something poor about their person or group that they're most interested in, they might provide their information online.
Right, so that others can
deal with the problem. It's not that big of a problem, evidently, that most of the time people get doxed. They might get a letter in the mail. It would be so rare that I couldn't even find any Beyonce fan had ever gone to somebody's house and like hit them with a baseball bat or threatened them. And
oh, well, that's good.
It was more like mail,
hate mail,
or mean emails, or you know, things like that. But that is far and away the exception rather than the rule, that it's less than 1% of these super fans, as far as they can tell in their research, that have this sort of psychological illusion that they need to defend their idol.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things where research helps us just define and kind of confirm what we kind of know. What
Right.
security teams already know.
Right.
Right? Because otherwise concerts would not be a thing. If we couldn't
Right.
trust fandom at large to just be fans,
Right.
We wouldn't do that live. We
Right.
wouldn't subject people to that. Like we wouldn't, like the Beatles, being, you think of the Beatles having this like the really long career. And
no,
they
it was
and they
super
so
short.
didn't.
No.
I mean, most of what they did was studio. They toured for like a hot minute because it got so crazy. People hadn't experienced that kind of fandom before,
Right.
And so people went nuts, and it became a security problem. They felt like insecure, like they got almost hurt. I mean.
Well, and Elvis was the same way when he was young and touring before he did his residency in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It was, it was a fairly dangerous situation. But again, as we have another article from Refinery 29 talking about how being in a fandom can actually be good for your mental health because it does breed this community, and that gives you a sense of identity. And Dr. Dan Wan, who is a psychology professor at Murray State University, talks all about this, that the social connection, when you have that, it can have good benefits on not only your mental health, but your physical health. That if you think of it as a hobby, that's more in line with the way you should probably
And I think
behave with it.
most people do. We
Right.
have, since the whole Beatles fiasco and
Right.
then some of that, like, people calm down.
Yes.
Like, we understand this a lot better now.
Right. So for the vast majority of people, fandom is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
It brings community. It lets you, if there's something on TV, everybody watches it together. And now that we have the internet, which is the thing that the Beatles didn't have,
No.
there wasn't the internet, so people couldn't chat with each other or whatever while the show was on. And now you can have this communal experience with people all over the world if it's showing at the same time.
Yeah.
Or if it's not, you do a watch party or whatever, and then you watch it at the same time. So
Yeah. There's like many ways, the online fan groups, those are fun. I recently went to a concert where, the online fan group got together. Like not everybody, obviously, but like somebody who was like, kind of a very active leader in the group, planned like a meet and greet.
Oh, that's
right.
fun.
So we got to go see other people who, we actually have like, oh my gosh, I actually interacted with you online and now we're here. And then there's people that we met in person. Now I can interact with them on the group and I've met them. Right. Like that's.
Yeah. And then it doesn't feel weird.
It's not weird.
Right?
And there's so much fun to be had around it, that it's just fun.
Yeah. And yes, for the vast majority of people, it's actually good for your mental health to have, because community is good for you. So.
All right. Confession.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible fan.
Oh.
I'm such a bad fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
I really like people, and I'm not good at like knowing things that a fan would know. Like I'm not good at knowing the deep cuts of people I love.
Yeah.
I'm not good at remembering the names of songs for artists that I adore. Like I can't even, I'm just not good. I'm not that kind of fan.
Yeah. And I think
so
that's fine. And there's a place for you
Yeah,
in the fandom
I
as
have
well.
to like kind of like nod. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
well.
But like, it's just so funny because I'm just not a fangirl at all.
You'll see if I know I'm going to a concert. Just, occasionally I've gone to concerts where I didn't know I was going to the last minute. But if I know I'm going to a concert for like 2 weeks ahead of time, I will listen to the album that I know that they're promoting and maybe some deep cuts and make sure I know the names of the songs.
Yeah.
I pick a favorite that's not a single.
Yeah.
And I really hope.
Yeah.
I
I typically know the songs. I just don't know the titles.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
well, but that's because I'm kind of a musician, right? So like
Right.
I pick up on the song itself way quicker than I know the title.
Yeah.
Or often I'll think
Unless-
the title is something different, and I'm like, oh, that's what that was called. I think I've always called it by this lyric that I like. I don't know.
Which is what, the double-edged sword of naming a song something different than what the primary lyric that people are going to remember is.
Yeah, because I will not remember.
Right.
And then, of course, like I grew up in a time with radio where thankfully they said the names of a lot of people, but they also wouldn't say the names of certain people. And I'm not enough of a fan to go find out. So I know the song and I have no idea who sung it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what year it came out.
Oh.
I know nothing about it.
All the time listening to the radio. We'll be driving, and now...
It's
it comes up on the little screen
Yes.
if you're just listening to the radio, which my husband never listens to the radio unless he's in my car.
Yeah.
I still like listening to the
do
radio.
too.
I like the, surprise of what's coming next.
Thank you.
You know?
Yes, I do. I like that.
I kind of like it too. And sometimes you hear something new that you like and you wouldn't have heard otherwise. A song will come on and my husband will look at me and he goes, I would have never guessed that was the artist that sang that song. I didn't know that.
Yeah, me. I would. That's me. I agree. That's how I am.
I'm like, I've been listening to this song since 1986
Yeah.
and I have no idea who sang it.
So, yeah.
Real life.
Real life.
So, holy moly, were those Ni'Jah tickets that Dre bought at the beginning expensive. $1,800 for two. Real Beyonce tickets are very expensive.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Especially for her upcoming Renaissance tour. It's been a while since she's toured. And there's been, between her and Taylor Swift and a few other big artists who haven't toured in a while, people are starting to notice ticket fees, in addition to the face value of the concert ticket, are quite high.
They are high.
Rolling Stone had a whole article.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And it's interesting the percentage-wise when you look at fees. So if you bought a VIP package for Beyonce's Renaissance tour, there's the whole thing with the dynamic pricing for the best seats for any concert. It's supposed to prevent scalping and things. I feel ways about it, but I'm not. I see both sides of it, so I'm not going to even comment on that. But when you bought the $3,750 VIP ticket for Beyonce's Renaissance tour, and you go to check out, there was then a $550 fee from Ticketmaster on top of that.
What?
So what's interesting about that is about a 15% service fee.
That's insane.
It's a lot. I feel ways about it. I feel ways about Ticketmaster and Live Nation, who owns Ticketmaster, because I think that they have too much power and it's a monopoly. And I thought we weren't supposed to have those things, but apparently that doesn't matter anymore. But then there were more affordable seats. Of course, there are always more affordable seats. Those tend to not fall into the dynamic pricing situation. So if you're not having like front row or floor seats, then chances are you can just buy the ticket for the face value, except for the service fees. So a $162 ticket that someone bought had $43.90 of a service fee and another $8 as a facility charge on top of that. And so that was a 27% fee on that ticket. So the highest ticket saw the most outlaying of service fees, but it was a smaller percentage of the service fee. It seems so shady to me, but there's usually somewhere between 15 to upper 20% of a fee.
That's insane.
I mean, it's ridiculous to have a almost 30% fee on top of the face value of the ticket price.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And my favorite fee is the convenience fee.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not convenient. I can't go down there and buy it.
No, it's not. It's not a convenience fee, and also I'm your customer.
Yeah,
It's not. I'm I'm the client. You make money because I bought the ticket. It's like if you went to a clothing store, to Old Navy or something, and they charged you a convenience fee for existing.
Or they charge you a convenience fee to ship it to your house on top of your shipping fee.
Yeah. And
right.
I mean, it makes no sense. That's the whole point of being the customer.
Right. Like build it into the price of the ticket.
Yeah. You go ahead and you have your costs and you build in your fee for the service.
Right.
And then you sell the service and I'm buying the service. You're not convenient. You're the point of service.
Right. Yeah.
POS.
I can't buy them anywhere else. It's not a convenience fee because you're making it more convenient for me to buy tickets. There's literally no other way to buy these.
Yeah.
I can't go to a box office somewhere, which
Nope.
I remember doing. Going out, the tickets go on sale. We're going to skip school. So be down there at 10 a.m. to get in line.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But tickets are expensive in the U.S. Ticketmaster and Live Nation have some constraints over in Europe.
Oh, speak to me about this.
So there are a number of people who've decided that instead of going to see Beyonce in their hometown, for the same price, they're going to fly to Europe.
Oh my gosh.
And see Beyonce in Europe.
Because they can buy the ticket
Because-
and buy the vacation around it for the same price.
Yep.
OMG. Wow.
I mean, does this not seem like the best idea ever?
Yeah, really brilliant. Wow.
So Mercedes Ariel is a TikToker, and she's been doing this for a long time. So she said in 2018, she saw Beyonce and Jay-Z on the On the Run 2 tour in Paris, and she got floor seats for $92 each.
What?
The going rate in her hometown of Dallas was over $900 more per ticket.
What?
So she was like, I can spend $2,000 to see them here, or I can fly to Paris and spend basically the same amount of money and have a trip to Paris.
Yeah. I mean, wow. Brilliant. Brilliant.
So smart.
Musical tourism.
Right.
This is what this is.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's like, well done, U.S. Just
yes.
Go ahead. Force everybody to outsource all of the fun everywhere else.
Right.
Awesome.
Now, she had used points to be able to pay for her tickets.
Right.
And her,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, it ended up being much less, but she's... Yeah, her VIP tickets to the Stockholm show were $366.
I mean,
For the upcoming. This is for Renaissance.
wow.
Yeah.
That's
So she said, Beyonce is going to sweat on me. That's how close I am. I mean, and that's basically the same kind of ticket that you'd pay almost $4,000 for
Right.
here in the US. I mean, ridiculous.
that is a vast difference and shameful.
Yeah.
Ticketmaster.
For real. And now you have to be careful about where you buy it and where the countries are, because some countries do allow more dynamic pricing than others. So they have an article in this NBC News article about a woman who bought at surge pricing tickets for a show in Germany and then realized she couldn't go after she bought the tickets, but their resale sites are heavily regulated as well. So you can only charge so much above the face value of the ticket. And so she ended up having to sell it at a loss.
Oh.
But, check your dates first.
Check your dates.
Okay, so the swarm definitely draws some behavior from the more extreme Beehive fans.
Yeah, they all
Some of
seemed a
their
little
behavior.
much.
Yeah.
It was extra.
Yeah.
All of them. When they show the phone and you can see the chat going on and you're like, that is a lot
that's
to
a
deal
lot.
with.
Yeah. So Thought Catalog back in 2014 had this article, 17 reasons obsessive Beyonce fans are the worst.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't agree with that. I don't think that anybody who's an obsessive fan is necessarily the worst, but that there were a few little things on here that were kind of fun and I'd like to touch on.
As a kind of a non-fangirl myself.
Right.
I do have a few ticks about this.
You can understand that? Yeah. And this happened in Swarm, where she's referred to as a god or goddess. You know, she's a goddess.
Yeah.
And they said that that's the worst because she's obviously a regular ass human being. A well-marketed regular ass human being. I'm like, there you go.
Yep.
She is just a person.
She is.
Yes. She may be a wonderful, delightful, talented person who is exceptional in a lot of ways, but a god, she is not.
Nope.
It seems like we're not allowed to just accept that she's a pop star like many other pop stars before and after, and that everything she does doesn't have to be some crazy Illuminati meaning behind it. Fair.
I mean, fair.
I mean, as a big fan myself, my husband and I have a Prince podcast.
Yes.
There were many times where we watched him in interviews and thought, somebody needs to love that man a little harder because he really honestly believes that we're being poisoned by the chemtrails from airplanes. I'm like, oh, honey. Oh, honey.
Yeah.
It's just condensation.
Yeah, like it's just, physics.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can see we don't necessarily need to put our pop stars on such a pedestal that we can't say that is a bridge too far, my friend.
Yes. And also, I think if you keep looking for all these hidden meanings, you kind of miss all of the meaning that the artist is actually injecting.
Right.
Right? Like if you watch Homecoming and the documentary particularly, I mean, you get to see what actual, symbolism and metaphors and the actual artistry and the staging and how a lot of those choices are not arbitrary. But if you spend so much time trying to find all these like divine kind of hidden meanings, you might actually miss the message that they're actually giving you.
Totally agreed. They said that the fan base won't admit that there's an inherent basicness that exists in liking her because liking her is just what you do because you have ears. I'm like, yeah, she's super talented.
Super. Yes.
Yeah. You can, a lot of people like her.
People, I'm going to be careful about what I'm about to say. There are a lot of people who are more vulnerable to certain amounts of conspiracy. Yes?
Sure.
Okay. Well, and the same kind of reasoning exists that a lot of people want to feel like they have special news.
Yes.
That they see something others don't.
Sure.
That they get it. And that's that validation part of the fandom.
Right.
And a lot of people can't accept that. A lot of people, we've all seen this, what they want to do is be special, and I have news that you don't.
Right.
Like, I get it, and you don't, and that makes me better than you. And you see that in the conspiracy, you kind of see that in the extreme fandom.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the art better than you.
Right.
Right? Like, I get it, and you don't. Like, I heard something special, therefore, whatever, Okay, whatever.
Yeah. So Dre and Marissa shared a love of Ni'Jah as teens. So celebrity crushes are very normal, particularly among young fans.
Isn't that so interesting?
Yeah. Well, and it's this Trib Live article talks about it, how it's typically short-lived. It's rarely a harmful situation. And what it is children who are feeling this first flush of romantic sorts of attachment. They can have it with somebody who's completely safe.
Right.
It's a way to have a romantic feelings that in a totally age appropriate way with somebody they are unlikely to ever meet.
Right.
Maybe they go to a concert or whatever. It's so like safe and a way to dip your toe in the water and, maybe even get your heart broken a little bit when they announce, when the 22-year-old, artist, announces that he's engaged. And,
right.
I literally saw friends of mine who, when they saw that Michael Bublé was engaged, somebody posted, but but he hasn't met me yet. You know?
That parasocial, relationship can be healthy.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I had my own celebrity crushes when I was younger, for sure.
Well, and if you still have a celebrity crush, no need to worry. It's okay. Chapman University had some research done by Dr. Rebecca Tukashinsky-Forster. She said that it's very common that about 80% of people have some sort of like fanciful romantic attachment with a celebrity of somehow, whether it's romantic or just like you're a big fan.
Yeah.
You know, about 80% of people have this sort of relationship with some sort of celebrity, and that it's totally fine, that as long as you're not moving on to stalking or obsessive behavior or criminal behavior, that it's totally fine, that it's good for women when they're going through, women in particular, when they're going through life changes.
Okay.
So if you're menopause or you've just had a baby, it's a kind of a way to explore that romantic side of yourself with somebody who's not in the trenches with you of, dealing with whatever upheaval is in your life, and help you feel attractive and desirable again.
Oh, that makes sense because,
totally,
in those stages, you may not really want anybody to actually touch you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, you can have
exactly. And just the whimsy and entertainment of it is totally fine.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. So Dre knew that Khalid was at least open to cheating on her foster sister, Marissa. Should you tell a friend if they're being cheated on?
Ooh.
In real life, should you say? Now,
Golden Girls episodes coming to mind as we speak.
Is
so,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It depends. So basically, that is where it all comes from, is that if you don't know for an absolute fact, maybe keep it to yourself. Just don't. You also don't know if they're in an open relationship. If you don't know that they're not in an open relationship, then maybe, it's just best not to say anything if there's a possibility. Now, obviously, Dre knew that Marissa thought they were exclusive.
Definitely.
Right. So that kind of puts that out there. But if you don't know that for sure, then
you're not close enough to say something anyway, probably.
Right. Probably. You have to take into account whether there's domestic violence in the situation on either side. So if the person who's being cheated on might be violent towards the person who's doing the infidelity, then maybe you don't tell them.
Maybe just don't stir that pot.
Yeah, maybe just don't. Conversely, if you feel like if there's the person doing the infidelity is the one who's also abusive, and you feel like sharing that information might give them the impetus to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's worth speaking up and out about that. So you have to make the decision based on your situation. Now, there was a Psychology Today article that I read that said you should always do, quote unquote, the right thing and tell. And I'm like, that's a very limited view of things and could really cause some trouble for people. But if you decide that you need to tell somebody, you should do it face to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a text or a phone call. This is
no. In this case, Khalid was hitting on Dre.
Yes.
So it's not just, I happen to know or find out that your significant other is cheating. It's they made a pass at me. Right. Now that's weird.
And it was weird, but you could see how Marissa might not believe her.
Well, and that's the whole Golden Girls episode.
Oh, okay. Well, tell it.
Right. So Dorothy's, boyfriend makes a pass at Blanche. And Blanche isn't going to tell Dorothy. And Rose is like, you have to tell her. You have to tell her. So they, she tells her, and of course, Dorothy just gets mad at Blanche and blames Blanche and thinks that she's the one who made a pass and that she's making it up because she's jealous and whatever. And there's a whole thing about, what if they get married and adopt a child, and little Mei Ling and got her coming out party gets destroyed because, whatever.
Boy, they really took that one far.
Oh, yes. There was a whole thing about,
They took that fictional scenario all the way to the end.
To
which is what we wanted from all of those different, futuristic sorts of shows. The alternative history shows, where they didn't go all the way. These ladies, they took it all the way.
Rose was like, Blanche, what are you going to do? They might get married. She could have a child. No, she could adopt the child. And then they talk about little Mei Ling coming out, and that maybe Dorothy finds out with the towel girl that her husband has been, sleeping around with everybody, and wouldn't that be awful? Don't you feel bad for little Mei Ling? Hasn't she suffered enough? This is what convinces Blanche to tell her.
Yeah.
And then it was a whole thing. But but the whole idea is that's awkward.
Right.
Do you tell? And Blanche was like, no, she'll blame me. Ooh. That's hard. You got to know your friend.
Right.
And you got to be willing to let them have their feelings about it.
Right. Well, yeah. So Khalid didn't attend Marissa's funeral. If you cannot attend a funeral, there's some ways that you can deal with the guilt that might come around that. So it's your choice always, whether you're going to attend a funeral or not. Even if you're close to the person, there may be reasons why you don't want to go. And as long as you have a good reason, you shouldn't feel guilty about not going. And even if that reason only makes sense to you, this is from selfdevelopmentjourney.com, then that is a valid reason. Even if it doesn't make sense to anybody but you.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. Some reasons you might not want to go is there's people there you don't want to see. Somebody has expressed discomfort that you might be there. That's a good reason to stay away. You literally can't attend the funeral for whatever reason. Maybe you have a mental health condition that's causing you not to be able to go, which is kind of seems like Khalid was dealing with some grief and guilt because he cheated on Marissa. And, he said, you never expect it to end on a fight. Yeah. Especially when you're that young.
Yeah.
That's fair. And if you feel like the emotions are going to be too much for you to handle. So what you can do is send a nice note, send flowers, even after the fact. So like Khalid, had he been able to, could have sent flowers to her parents afterwards or sent a note. And those are totally fine ways to express your grief. So don't worry so much about it. Then there was this company. It's called Immersion, and it combines neuroscience and marketing.
Okay.
And they were looking at superfans, and they found that there were two particular personality traits that they have found in superfans, and they were agreeableness and empathy. Those were things that they scored highly on. And so they wondered if they could, quote unquote, create superfans.
Okay.
I know. I see this. They assure us multiple times throughout this article that they did this ethically and under the supervision of professionals. And this is not something that they would use with their clients, but rather a study to support different techniques that they might use with clients. Now, they wouldn't, what they did is basically they exposed some participants, all the participants got an IV, some participants got saline, some got oxytocin.
Okay.
So, and then they exposed them to certain brands.
Okay.
To see if the ones that got oxytocin would feel more favorably towards the brands that they were shown.
Okay.
And it kind of worked.
Right. Because so enacted the little reward center.
It did. So they kind of created superfans. Now, they all knew that there was a possibility that they could get this. It was very low amounts. It wasn't they hypothesized that they could create superfans this way, and they kind of did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
It
Totally makes sense. But obviously you're not going to want to like put oxytocin in the air or any of that.
Yeah, like, don't be weird.
That's unethical. But if you can do things that activate these reward centers,
right,
you're more likely to have fans who are very devoted to your brand.
Yeah, that's a whole...
I thought was interesting.
Like 4D marketing right there.
Yeah. So Dre definitely always referred to Ni'Jah as a goddess.
Yeah, always.
In 2014, there was an Atlanta church that literally worshiped Beyonce.
What?
I think
what? Oh.
It was more of like a get together on a Sunday morning where they would listen to Beyonce music and be excited together, is really what it went. But they had they kind of posited that Beyonce was maybe extraterrestrial, maybe a deity on Earth.
Okay.
Yeah. And, but really that wasn't what it was. And it seems that they had talked about getting a piece of property in which to have their Sunday morning worship services, but they had like outdoor ones, or they met at like community centers and things. Really, they were just like a fandom group getting together, and it seems like it really never went very far, but it was the National Church of Bay. Bayism.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. That was I thought that was just silly and a fun thing to know happened in May of 2014.
Wow.
That, some people were putting forward Beyonce as a literal deity.
Wow.
Seems maybe a little tongue-in-cheek, but...
Maybe, but maybe not.
Yeah. Well, it didn't go anywhere, really, as far as I can tell.
Wow.
But it was kind of fun.
All right, ATL. Wow.
So there's a new show coming to Hulu, Am I Being Unreasonable? And it's, I believe, a housewife who's trying to expand her horizons and find somebody whom she, like a gal pal that she can do that with. And things go awry.
Things go weird.
Yeah.
Just the trailer. Things go weird. So it should be fun.
So I'm looking forward to that. I would be glad to get something that's a little more overtly funny. Done a lot of dark comedy lately. I'm ready to have some like laugh out loud. Then laugh out loud because I'm uncomfortable sitting watching something by myself.
Okay. I may have laughed out loud.
I laughed out loud a few times.
I was like, oh my God, they did that. It was funny.
Well,
all right,
but
that's
she's cleaning
probably
up the blood.
I mean, right?
Dancing. Oh,
that was hysterical.
Gosh, it was so funny.
Yeah. Okay, well, we digress, but nevertheless.
Yes. So until next time, be safe, be kind, and wash your hands.
Bum, 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 da, 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 da.